dark bags and circles under your eyes. I've already done my eye makeup, already done my eyebrows, and I've done my foundation. Don't know if you can see it in this light, but obviously I've done the contouring. So it's just literally underneath here that I'm going to do. Now it is quite a long process and it is quite a heavy coverage as well, so you might want to miss bits out depending on how much, but this is how you do it in case you do want to do this. As you can see, I've got nothing at all under here on my eyes. You can see where it's all red and all blue here. So first of all, I'm going to start off with the Illamasqua Skin Base foundation, and this is in 01 and it is completely white, and the reason I'm using this is because it gives 100% coverage and it's a really good primer as well. So I'm just going to put, you only need a little bit of this Illamasqua stuff as well, just a little bit on the back of my hand, and I'm going to use my concealer brush. It's like a foundation brush, but it's a little bit smaller, well, quite a bit smaller. So I'm just going to dab this across here. And as you can see, only need a tiny, tiny little bit. And I'm just going to tap it up, stretching it upwards. I'm not going to go right underneath just yet. I'm going to bring this down quite far. And I'm just literally tapping. You can see here now in this light that I've got my contour and my highlight here. So usually I always say that, you know, it's the way that you apply makeup, not necessarily the product that's important. But with this, it is really important what products you use. You can't, I mean, I've been doing a little bit of research into like cheaper brands of makeup to do you a budget makeover, and I'll be doing that video later on this week for you. And I have tried to find products to do the baking method with, but unfortunately it just doesn't give the same effect if you don't use the higher brand products. So this is already starting to dry, and the thing with the Illamasqua foundation is it does dry, completely dry. It doesn't stay moist. It is a really, really matte finish, the Skin Base one. So hence why it gives such a good coverage. So I'm going to leave that for about 5 minutes to set. Well, usually I would, but for the sake of the video I'm not going to. So once that's set for 5 minutes, I'm going to go over it with a little makeup sponge, and I'm just going to dab off any of the excess that hasn't dried on. If you're using a circle one, obviously just fold it in half to get in here. And as I'm doing this, I'm going to push the foundation up into the creases under my eyes, and that just gives it a really, really subtle, because obviously if you cake it on too much it will just go into your creases, and that's what we're trying to avoid with this baking method. So I'm just going to blend this down a little bit with the sponge. Now the reason that it's blending so easy, obviously you can see the difference, is because although it's dried, the excess that's on the sponge is just allowing me, as I dab it down, to blend it in really, really well. Here we go, no lines now. So it's the same on this eye. And it's really important that when you do this, you do it before you put any powder products on your cheeks or anywhere else on your face, because if you put this over the powder, it will look cakey and it'll go all blotchy. So don't use any powder on your face until you've done this part. Okay, so that's all blended out, and then I'm going to go with the excess, okay, and the little bit that's left on my hand, down my nose, on my cupid's bow, a little bit on my chin, and this is just going to highlight even further these areas, just little bits. Blend that in, okay. Now once that is dry, I'm then going to go with my actual concealer. Obviously the first product that I used was the foundation. You can use an under eye cream instead of this, but I just love this product because, like I say, it does give 100% coverage. Okay, so you only need a tiny little bit of this. I don't know if you can see there. And this is the matte on my nose as well. I'm just going to blend that. Under the chin, cupid's bow, and just with the excess on the back of the sponge, go around your eyebrows. Okay, so now you can see there's no actual definite lines now. It does blend in nicely. So I'm going to leave that again for about 5 minutes, okay? It does take quite a while to do this. I'm not going to leave it now because we're doing a video. No, my look, someone else will ring me. So after you've left that for about 5 minutes, we're going to go on to our MAC Prep and Prime and Fix spray. Okay, and sometimes you can spray this before your makeup or after, or you can do it before and after, okay? Now when you're doing the baking method, you're going to spray it on the sponge and dampen the sponge a little. Rub it in, okay? Now usually I would use the loose powder, but it hasn't arrived yet, my new one, and I've run out, so I've just got, it's basically the same thing, but it's pressed. So it's the MAC Prep and Prime Translucent Pressed Powder, and it doesn't really give the same effect as the loose powder. Now usually you would get your damp brush and you would dip it in the loose powder. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rub my damp sponge, and with the sponge you do get really thick cakey bits, okay, so dab all of those big thick cakey bits off, and then we're just going to quite heavily dab this underneath the eyes on all the areas that you've put the concealer. Now don't be a little bit, you know, panicky when it first goes on. It is bright white. When it's blended, it's translucent. Okay, so as you can see, I've got all these big clumpy bits. That doesn't happen when you use the loose powder, okay? So this is just going on underneath, and I'm pushing it up, teasing it up slightly and right out. And it also gives you this edge on your eyeshadow as well. Okay, so again, I'm going to leave that for about 5 minutes to set. And if you do have any oils in your skin or in the concealer and the foundation still left over, it will seep through this and you'll start to see it. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to leave it, should I say, too long because I don't really have the time. So I'm going to get a fluff brush. I'm just giving it a little wipe because I have done this video twice. Okay, and I'm just literally going to flick this excess powder off. You can see it's coming off quite easy. And I'm just literally, I'm being really gentle. Little circle your motions. Circle, yeah. I don't know what I'm saying. Just flicking all that off. Bouncing it up. and out. Okay, and then we're going to go and use another translucent powder. I would, like I say, use the loose one, but I don't have any. So with the sponge, you're going to go over your chin. You can go here if you want to create a really sharp contour here. You can put this here as well, where you do the contour, just underneath. You can't really see it on this side as much. So the sponge is still damp as well. That's better. Okay, down my nose and around my eyebrows, in between them, just tapping that on. Okay, and again, you'd leave that for, you know, up to 5 minutes, and then you're going to brush it off with, you know, a clean blusher brush or a fluff brush. Now brush that off, and now you can see the lines it's creating here for my cheekbones. Just flicking off any excess. I am really speeding this up, I'm so sorry. Okay, and then this is the main part now of the baking, and this is the part that takes the longest and you have to leave to set for the longest. And again, you'd use the loose powder. Where are you? No. Yeah. So I'm going to use the lightest shade pressed powder that I can find. You can again use the translucent, but just to give it a bit more coverage, I'm going to use, obviously, let me see if you can see the difference in the colour on camera. This is a translucent, and this is one that has actually got a colour in it, okay? So really, really thick now. Like I said, usually would use the loose powder, and you're going to get a blusher brush and dip it into the powder. I'm using the pressed, and I'm going to put this on really, really thick now under my eyes. And this is what you're left with, okay? When you see that, it's really, really white. And that would stay on now for 5 to 10 minutes. And again, any more moisture that you've got in your skin, any oils, what will create the creases and the lines under your eyes and cause any concealer or any foundation to slip off your face. So you can see the bags. Obviously you can no longer see them underneath here now. I think you probably can see shadows in this light. That's what will create your makeup to slip off and give you the lines underneath and the creases. So what we're doing now is we're covering that up and we're drying it all out. So this would stay on for 10 minutes, and this is what the baking method actually is. So you're leaving that to bake and to cook. Once you've done that, so again, I'd have it in these areas here. Once that's been on for 10 minutes, I'm then going to go ahead and get my coloured powder, and I'm just going to flick this all off now. So here's the colour one. Just flick it all off down my nose, around my eyebrows,